Good evening, everyone tuning in from wherever you are around the world or around Australia. Welcome to Apex Point Racing League's latest feature race for Season 5. This week we are tuning into the Development Series drivers, particularly the AM Division drivers, as they tackle the notoriously difficult Nurburgring Nordschleife. Just wanted to have a quick shout out to everyone that's in the chat at the moment. We have Big Rig, Rico's, Morgs, Womble, hey guys, how you going? And to whoever else is lurking in the background, feel free to say hi. And just a reminder to everyone to, feel free to jump into the chat, share your conversations, any comments, insights from the racing this week, and most importantly, don't forget to leave a like on the live stream on the way in. But I'm not alone in the comment box tonight. Joining me on the other side of the commentary box, we have Anthony. How are you going?
Hey guys, it's good to be here again. Looking forward to this event. I didn't partake in this race, so it'll be very interesting to watch. I haven't actually seen any of the footage, so I'm going to be eagerly watching with some of the viewers, I guess, as well, and seeing what transpire. Seeing what kind of racing we get out of this.
Absolutely. I think I'm going in cold to this one as well. Haven't had a preview of the replay, haven't looked at the results. I've only got some of the details in terms of the existing drivers, pole positions and things like that. But I mean, the sort of vision you're seeing right now says it all in terms of what we've got ahead of us. We have a 45-minute race, Group 3 cars at the Nurburgring Nordschleife, so it'll be excluding the normal GP layout that would make the N24 layout for the Nurburgring 24 hours, and just purely focused on the tight and twisty track, just under 21 kilometers. I think it's about, I want to say maybe, I'm pulling up my notes here just to make sure. I knew it was in the hundreds. There's 154 corners, and yes, just under 21 kilometers. So it is a challenging circuit. A lot of difficult corners of only really experienced drivers to navigate through. But tonight we have our development series drivers that are a little bit battle hardened and a little bit seasoned already in the AM division. It's been quite a close contest so far, it seems, this season, and just really looking forward to seeing how they all fare with this one tonight. So thank you all for tuning in, and I guess just before we start to kick things off, just wanted to throw it to Anthony for your thoughts on this track. I mean, you didn't race this week, obviously, but everyone's given this track a bit of a go. I think it speaks for itself in terms of the difficulty of the nature of it. But are there any areas in particular that you think would be challenging in a Group 3 car?
The the challenging part of this track has to be just the corner memory of the driver. So the biggest part of becoming a quick driver is remembering where you are on the circuit and what you got coming up, so you can position your car not just for the corner in front of you that you can see, but the corner following. And there is a part of this track which catches me out quite often after some of the slower, I guess what you call a bit of a downhill section into a real tight, almost 90-degree turn to the left. And then there's another one that happens where it's not so great, but there's a section there which kind of like looks similar to me, and especially when the track gets dark, uh, you feel like you're in the same location on the track, but the corner coming up is a different a degree. It requires a different speed, and it always catches me out without fail. This track will also see drivers, who are going to be brave using a lot of the curb at the back or in the middle of the track. There's some sections of this track where you can really, ride over the curbs, get some air, then onto the brakes, just really maximising the trust with the driver in the car on the circuit. And the circuit surface, because just watching the footage of it panning through now, there's some sections that look a little bit greasy.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
definitely. I think
Yeah.
it's It's a challenging track at the best of times, and I think in really stiff high downforce Group 3 cars makes it even more challenging. You need to be on the limit at all times, full concentration. It is a long race over 45 minutes tonight, and yeah, to be fully concentrated through every turn, every nook and cranny of this circuit will be challenging to say the least. So I think the driver that's able to, I guess, control the amount of energy that they input into their decision making and skills throughout the course of the race will come out on top. But speaking of which, we might just do a quick little recap of the driver list that we have hitting the track tonight. So starting in pole position with a 6-minute 33 lap time is the Trickster. So the Trickster is starting on pole. He's currently running second in the championship on 130 points. Following along in second place on the grid is Ozpat G. So Ozpat is actually sitting first in the AM Division Championship on 133 points, so only 3 ahead of the Trickster. And he's actually been promoted from the clubman level, so the division below, and took it upon himself to take the opportunity to have a little bit more of a challenge. So we thank him for that. In third place, we've got Daywalker, who's running third in the championship as well. Starting in fourth position, we have Morgs, followed by Red Bearsy, then Specs, Combat Meow, and Sideshow after that. And then the last 3 drivers on the grid is Dahan Mozique, who joined a little bit late in the season but has been a regular attendee, VFA Victory, and at the back we have Loco RX2, who has also joined a little bit late in the season. So I think that's about 11 or 12 drivers we have tonight. And in terms of the track and the setup that they have ahead of them, it is a clear race in terms of the weather forecast. Tyre wear is set to 3 times, fuel 1 times, and refuel set to 12 litres per second. It's not looking like it's going to be a fuel saving race. It's definitely going to be a tyre saving race with that low fuel burn rate and that high refueling rate. And the medium is the mandatory tyre, so it's important that the drivers at least use that once. Regardless of that, I think we can look to get started into it. Just welcome a couple of new commentators into our stream. So Tex, Jason, Adrian, Exalt, and 4x4. Thank you for joining. Make sure you leave a like as well. But without further ado, Anthony, if you're good to go, I can count us in and we can get this show on the road.
Let's do it.
Cool. All right, I've got my finger hovering over the replay button, and we'll do it on 3, 2, 1, go. So 3, 2, 1, go. All right, we'll just get the right race info up. We're riding on board with Morgs here. We may just sit in the third person perspective just to watch the start of this race. Rolling start as always. And off they go. Morgs gets a clean start. Daywalker actually in front of him. Oof. Has a bit of a moment there. Bit of a squirrely moment. Tries to catch the Genesis on the way out there. But I think he managed to only lose 1 spot there. So great work in terms of damage limitation. However, initially Daywalker sitting in P3, now sitting in P4 behind Morgs, and that gap between P3 and the top 2 is just so much bigger now because of that. And actually Daywalker goes off in the background there. He looks like he's really struggling, having a moment. Actually in the war, Daywalker must
Ozpat.
be... Yes, go on.
Ozpat has just spun out and has, I guess, given up position 2.
Lots of action here.
Still maintaining third place, so quick recovery. Doesn't seem to be any damage.
There's a lot happening there. I think it's just since the time of day on this one is the early morning and everyone's got cold tyres starting on a track like this, and especially low speed corners, trying to put that traction down just proved to be a little bit more challenging. So catching a few drivers out at the start there, but we might just do a quick little recap of how we're tracking in terms of the front of the pack. So we have the Trickster, or Maxi J, as his nickname in game is, seems to be steaming away here, just keeping the car pointed in the right direction and not having too many troubles at the moment. Morg's really capitalising in P2, so starting from P4 I believe, so good efforts there. Ozpad losing 1 position, sitting in P3. Red Bearsy in P4 at the moment, followed closely by Specs in the AMG. Sideshow in the Dodge Viper. Combat Meow following closely behind him in... Oh, there was a big off there, Specs! We just caught that. Oh.
Yeah, Specs has got a bit loose there, and it looks like he's put the right rear of his car into the barrier, which has got him some damage. So So it'll be interesting to see how long he carries that for. This is the development series, so this damage will heal. Lucky for him. We'll just see if he loses any positions as a result.
Loco RX2 actually had a bit of an off there. We managed to just catch that very quickly, but it all seems to be happening on this opening lap. Who should we jump to now? We'll jump to the Trickster, so still managing to get away there, running a little bit wide there. Morg's hanging on into second as we were going through the packages then. Ozpat G in third, Bearsy in fourth. Sideshow still hanging on in Dodge Viper there in fifth position.
Doing a great job with that Viper this season.
Absolutely. Absolutely right. And we have DeHon behind them, so Mac Hard is his nickname, who's moved up into P6, so starting a little bit further down but making a good effort to come up in P6 in the Porsche. Combat Meow and the Subaru. Specs who had that off in the AMG as we were going through the drivers there. Daywalker's had a shocker of a start, starting from P3, now sitting in P9. And then we have Judge sitting in P10, who I believe is VFA Victory, as we were saying earlier.
Okay.
And Loco RX2 who had the off in the Lamborghini.
Lamborghini is a great car. I really like the Lamborghini. It's just, I'm not sure how it goes with the tyre wear in the kind of racing that we're doing here. I'm not sure if it's been fixed on updates. There has been some physics updates, so hopefully that car does a lot better with strategies on tyre specifically.
Yeah, it's a popular choice for the daily races because of its outright pace, but it does struggle in the tyre wear department. Alright, so the Trickster is making his way through the carousel for the first of 8 times. Managed to navigate that quite successfully there. Morgs is doing a good job hanging on and trying to take it to him in the GTR. Ozpat really looking to capitalise on the lead he has in this championship, so needs a really good victory tonight to pull further ahead in the standings.
Seems like the guys in the front are already spreading out a bit. I'm just on board with Daywalker at the moment. It's where I feel like the battle is. Specs is looking to make a move as well. I think Daywalker is just looking to try to get his groove on, or getting to the groove of things, get comfortable with the car.
Yeah, they've both had a little bit of a sketchy start to this race, so they would both be probably in similar states of mentality in terms of how they feel about the track, how they feel about the car that they're in, and Specs just understeering a little bit wide there, manages to hold on. That gives Daywalker a bit of room. Yeah,
Daywalker is third on the championship. Specs is following him in fourth place with 4 points separating them.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Specs just commentating in the live stream saying that his experience on this track is not that great, as actually Combat Meow.
Oh, jeez.
He holds it out of the wall, luckily.
I think he's done a great job there over the rejoin, seeing the oncoming traffic. That's a fantastic effort by him.
Yep, using
he's got dirty tyres, trying to it's really good. It's really
absolutely.
Good, so
still taking it now
well, I guess the best thing he can do now is just really try to really get his head back in it and shake that off. He's a bit all over the place. I think he's just let that position go and then just hang on for a bit until you get your mojo back.
Doing his best Colin McRae impression in the Subaru WRX there, when the car needs to actually stay on the black stuff rather than the green stuff or the dirt. But looks like he's got it all gathered together there.
Choice for that.
All right, that was fast for 6 minutes already. So we got the Trickster heading down the Dottinger Hoe, making his way through to complete almost a full circuit of lap 1. Morgs following not too far behind. I feel like he's closed that gap a little bit. Ozpat
great shot, seeing all the cars in the background coming down the straight there.
Yes, and actually Sideshow's built a nice little gap between himself and DeHon. They were a little bit close before, but it seems to has built out that gap a little bit further. Porsche does struggle in the top end, so cars like the Genesis and the BMWs will have no problem catching up to them here. Specs seems to have got a nice little gap between himself and VFA Victory. Combat Meow still keeping the car pointed forward. And then
So Red Bears has obviously had some contact with the wall on the right hand side of his car, picked up a bit of damage. He's let Sideshow come through.
Yes, that's a good point. We've got
then
Aussie.
Sideshow's also hit the wall as well after that, so like no damage. So
No damage.
yeah.
Aussie Daily Race is saying the BMW on this track has a clear advantage. I would say yes, but it also has some challenges in those low to mid-speed corners with the turbo lag. So great and nicely planted across the board in terms of those faster corners, so those mid to high speed corners, but it's really in those slower corners in the middle of the circuit where it will really struggle. I think the best balanced car for this sort of circuit would be something like the Mercedes AMG that Specs is running.
Yeah. I think with the go back to that BMW, another advantage that BMW has is that is the car that is used for the track experience here. So you really grind it out to try and get that track experience. You are in the BMW, so you get familiar with this track and that car specifically, and you might end up just as a byproduct of doing those challenges, just being good in that car on this track
and being comfortable. That's the most important part, I would say. Just being really comfortable with your car choice. As we jump on board with a car that may not be necessarily comfortable with this sort of track, but still giving it a go. Sideshow in the Dodge Viper, coming through the foxhole. Very tricky, fast set of corners. My personal favourite on this circuit.
His tyre wear seems to be quite close in comparison to Red Bearsy in the Lexus. So
that is interesting.
So the Lexus is obviously doing better on fuel.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier, this is not a fuel-saving race. It's more looking after those tyres is going to be key. We've got Joshy tuning in as well, live from his concert. Hello, Josh. Focus on the live music you have in front of you. You can catch up on the live stream later, but appreciate the comment. Make sure you leave a live stream on the way out. A like on the live stream, sorry. Would be the right thing to say.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's see how things are going with the Trickster up the front. Seems to be keeping a nice handle on this Genesis, which would not be an easy car to drive around the circuit. No,
it's looking quite comfortable at the front in that Genesis. Great standout livery as well. I like the real bright colours of the green there.
Yes, representing NGR 2 Sus Motorsports, so doing his best for the team there to pull through as many points as he can. Be a very nice livery there. Morgs, I feel like, is just keeping pace with him. May not necessarily be pulling too much time towards him in terms of the difference, but doing his best to make sure that he's there in the action as well.
Yep. It's hard to say if people are doing good times at the moment. Everyone's getting purple sectors, being that it's the second lap. It's just a long lap.
That's exactly right. And there's a bit of a break between the packs here. So we have, I think it's between Daywalker and P6. So he's been doing a bit of a better job to get back from P9 to P6 here. But between Daywalker and Specs, there is a huge gap of time. Actually, as we look back here between Judge and Mackhart. Yep, they're going at it here. So the two German specialties are fighting it out on their home turf. With Subaru lurking in the background there. We're right on board with Mackhart here to Hon. Gets a bit wide there, gets a bit squirrely on the way out in terms of the traction. See if he can hold it through the carousel. He actually gains a little bit of time there, so it seems to be a lot more comfortable with the carousel. Oh, commentator's curse.
Yep.
That'll do it. So just breaks that traction on the way out of the carousel there.
Yes. So Loco RX2 in the Lamborghini, I can see is hanging back a bit at the moment. So he might just have a bit of a, keep it cool, keep calm, and just keep it consistent. I think we might find that he might actually look to pick up some scraps if people are making some mistakes, and we will be having a pit stop As I said, that yellow flag has been shown.
Looks like Specs has had a moment.
There he goes.
Oh no! Oh, this will be chaos! Oh!
Thank God for the ghosting.
That would have been an absolute disaster if the ghosting didn't kick in there. So the yellow flags were thrown for Specs. We had a bit of a moment there before heading into YouTube corner. And Loco RX2 probably may have got thrown a little bit there in terms of the yellow flags distracting him.
Yes.
But luckily the ghosting was on and he was able to go straight through it. But to your point, Anthony, you were saying just keep the car on the track, keep it pointed in the right direction, and some of those positions will come to you, which is exactly what happened there.
And funnily enough, they both picked up the same damage, which was the left front bumper and wheel, which is now healed for both cars.
So fortunately for our development series drivers, damage is on white, so it will self-repair itself. However, in our Pro Series categories, so with the Pro drivers and the Pro-Am drivers, damage on a track like this would mean they would have to have a pit stop to repair it. So by now, Loco RX2 and Specs will have their cars repaired. Yes,
that's correct. They're all up and running as per normal, apart from some visual damages.
No penalties so far as we make our way back up through the grid. So Combat Meow still heading down the at the moment. Mac Hart is actually tucked into the slipstream of VFA here, right on board in the cockpit. Looks like he's got enough speed here to potentially get the job done. Actually gives him the bump draft. So maybe the Hon's realising here that VFA in front of him is the quicker driver and just wants to use his pace to help pull him along a bit further as he sensibly backs off a bit there after the long straight to give enough room between the two drivers there. But that's that's lap 2. Lap 2 done and dusted. So the first proper flying lap has been completed by all the drivers, and so far the fastest lap has gone to the Trickster with a 6 minute 40 flat. Aussie Daily Race is saying that in his race he had 3 stops of repairs before he retired the car, and the mediums went cold, which didn't help as well. That'll definitely happen on a track like this. Keeping temperature in the tyres is very important.
I believe he's also using the Lamborghini as well.
Of course, yes, that is true as well. That Porsche looks properly damaged at the front there.
Yeah.
Got some not so nice beauty marks on the front bumper there of the Porsche.
And some damage on the back of the Mercedes there. So what are we looking at here?
Oh, just beauty is in the eye of the beholder. I feel like it's worse because the cars are pretty much like chrome silver reflections, so you can see everything. They do look nice though, even with those battle scars. Sideshow's trucking along nicely in the Viper. Its own little world. Daywalker up into P5 at the moment, and he looks like he's squaring up Red Bearsy for a bit of a move here, so we may just ride on board and see how this fares. Remember, Daywalker is third in the standings, so he's got the Trickster and Ozpat G in front of him on the track. They are his direct competition in terms of the championship challenges, so he wants to get as close and finish as close to them as possible. I feel like the Genesis would be such a tricky car to navigate this track, so good on anyone that gave it a go. It's definitely fast if you can keep it pointed in the right direction, but it is challenging at the same time.
So is that Red Bearsy there in for Black Shadow Racing? Yep. Okay. Yep,
that's the one. So doing his best to make his car as wide as possible here. I think with a track like this, you know, the Nordschleife is very difficult to overtake on. The 6.5 meter lap, it's very narrow. Choosing when to overtake is going to be crucial. So if I was the daywalk, big moment there. Oh no.
Sideshow's coming up on this as well quite rapidly, so it'll be interesting to see how he navigates this.
He gives him plenty of room and gets the job done there.
Job.
I feel like, again, it just seems to be the Snoopy commentator's curse, talking about the Genesis being tricky to drive on a track like this, and just bit Daywalker there. He'd be ruining a lot of missed opportunities here. They've all come from just some slight oversteer, potentially boost on oversteer, because it does have quite a big turbo lag. But
yes,
Yeah, I was just saying earlier, on a track like this, because it's so narrow and Group 3 cars are so wide, being really choiceful about when to overtake is super, super critical. Ideally, you'd want to pile on the pressure to the opponent in front of you and wait for them to maybe just brake a little bit deeper or run a little bit wide or something like that and then pounce, rather than try and force the issue, because you would potentially damage yourself or the other car around you if you do cause a move that leads to some contact.
Well, we have missed Maxi J in first place. He has damaged his car on the front right. We did miss that. However, so just in comparison to Daywalker at the minute, who also just had an incident himself and got some damage on the rear bumper bar of the car, Maxi J on the racing medium, so is Daywalker, both in the same car, but Maxi J's front tyres are copying way more punishment than Daywalker.
It could just be Maxi J / the Trickster just really trying to maximise the pace as he runs wide, actually.
Wide again.
Oh no, but
I think he's really working those tyres, and those tyres are giving up a bit now.
Absolutely, I think from memory, the medium tyres on a track like this, around that, as he runs wide again, he is really struggling here, hey?
Yes.
Yeah, just
the rear tyres are looking really good though, so brake balance, I don't think the guys have managed their brake balance too well.
Well, since you're doing a bit of a tyre check, it might be worthwhile checking into his nearest competitor, Morgs, to see how his tyres are faring. I'd be interested to see if he's got a bit more...
Morg's tyres in the rear are exactly the same. The front tyres are in a better condition. Not by much, only slightly, but they are better. So again, probably a bit better on the brake balance.
And this is actually the first time ever on the cameras that we've actually been able to see the GTR and the Genesis of the Trickster and Morgs in the same shot. So it seems that that extra level of grip seems to be playing into Morgs' favour here. So he could be catching the Trickster.
Correct. And Morgs will be seeing him up ahead on the horizon, and you can see just by watching Morgs on the track, he looked quite confident with that car, and just seeing that the position one's getting closer, confidence would be pretty good for him right now.
Absolutely right, and we can't see the time difference in terms of the delta between the cars, but during the race, someone like Morgs and the Trickster will be seeing that information, and that plays on you mentally as well. But now they can both have a bit of a breath as they go down the long straight.
And reset. So it'll be interesting to see if anyone brings the car in for a pit stop here. I would say that you could probably do another lap. However, the way that Maxi J's been treating those tyres might see them very worse for wear by the end of another lap.
That's exactly right, and just to
they are on the racing mediums. I'm not sure if I could say that they're all pretty much
Yep. So all these drivers are serving the mandatory compound, and you know, it's an interesting strategy choice for the drivers, because obviously the mediums would be the better tyre to be on, but they do seem to go off around that, you know, 3 to lap 4 mark, whereas the hard tyres can last a lot longer, but they are slower. However, being able to lap that pace consistently, whether it's a hard compound pace, which might be, you know, 2, 3, 4 seconds slower, it may offset for the good or be more beneficial in the longer term, because you're able to do those laps. So if you're able to compare, for example, the Trickster, his lap 2 time was a 6:40, and his lap 3 time was 14 seconds slower, almost 15 seconds slower there. And
VFA's in the pits on the soft tyre.
So he's no, that's all right there. So he hasn't served the mandatory compound tyre there. So we'll be interested to see what he ends up choosing and what the team does in terms of the pit stop here. Sounds like a couple of cars are passing him as a result, so he's coming in. Those headlights are cracked on the AMG.
Yep.
He's gone out on the softs again.
Mediums, on the mediums.
Oh, the replay glitch. No worries.
Yep.
Hello Achilles, welcome. And sorry, just to catch up on a question in the live stream from Specs earlier. Are these live streams every Sunday night? No, they're not. If you look at our calendar in our Discord server, there are set races each season which are highlighted as a feature race. The next one will be in a fortnight's time for our sprint series. with the Honda Civic touring car at Blue Moon Bay Speedway, which will be a sort of a Honda Civic / NASCAR battle. So really looking forward to that one in a fortnight's time.
We are working on some things with some other people just to try and make these a bit more of a common occurrence. But at the moment, that's just the schedule's every fortnight.
Every fortnight so far, that's right. So talk to me, Anthony. We've got obviously the Trickster on worn mediums, Morgs on worn mediums. I would assume Ozpat G would be in the same category there. We'll be thinking that they'll be coming in for a pit stop this lap.
I believe everybody on the medium tyres should be coming in this lap. I'm just on board with Specs at the moment at the back of the pack, who started this lap with some damage. So obviously coming up to after that straight, it's got being caught out and put the left front into the wall. I think a lot of people will be doing that. Just misjudging the braking points. So tyres at the moment for everybody, I'd say. Oh, we got slideshow off into the barrier.
Oh, yep, just see him limping back onto the track there. We missed that, and that front right of the Dodge looks really damaged.
Yep, definitely carrying damage. His tyres, it's just pretty close on the tyres for everybody, with the fronts wearing quicker than the rear. So between Red Bearsy and Dave Walker, for example, identical, and Dave Walker's also carrying damage again as well. So
had a bit of a moment there.
Having a few incidents here. So these guys are able to drive at this pace because they do have that confidence that their car will be getting fixed during the race. We might even see faster times than the guys in the Pro Series at this stage with that kind of bravery.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But to call out one of the points you made earlier, that lonely Lambo of Loco RX2, which was sitting at the back of the pack and sort of in a world of its own, has actually pulled himself up into the midfield here by just, running his own race and focusing on making it through each turn. So good on Loco RX2 for keeping that Lambo pointing in the right direction.
And Bias very balanced with the tyre wear, so he's actually got his car balanced with the brake bias very, very well. His tyres are 50% worn all the way around.
Great work from him there. So we'll check back in with the Trickster. Looks like he's opened up that gap a bit from Morgs, so either he's found some extra grip or Morgs has had a bit of a moment, but it seems to me that gap is sort of back to where it was a little bit earlier, around the end of lap 1, lap 2, where they couldn't see one another, and it seems to be in that situation there as well. Ozpat G hasn't broken away from Red Bearsy here. They're still inside of one another, so that might be playing on each other's minds as Red Bearsy comes through in 4th position. Daywalker, you just hear those tyres really struggling as he turns in there. Same with Dahon in P6, who's doing an excellent job of hanging on there. Sideshow making his way up there through the carousel as well, as we jump to Loco RX2. Coming into the carousel, can't see the nearest competitor behind him, which is actually VFA Victory, who has put on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, so he should theoretically catch Loco RX2 on worn tyres. Combat Meow running a little bit wide in the carousel there, and then Specs just trying to hang on and get through this race, I think, and hoping a couple of drivers in front of him has some incidences that he'll be able to capitalise on.
Yeah. Maxi J will definitely be in the pits this lap, so this will mark the 50% mark of the race. So everyone on the medium tyres must be on the 4 laps plus 4 laps pit situation here. I don't think anybody has anything left in the tyre reserve to go another lap apart from that Lamborghini. So he might choose to do another lap and then finish with softs. I think he's the only person that could possibly do that.
He must be doing an exceptional job to keep the tyre wear on that Lamborghini down low, so good on Loco RX2 for doing that. The Trickstar is making his way down the long back straight of the Nordschleife layout here at the Nurburgring. Just actually, as a matter of fact, to remind our viewers, the Trickstar actually provisionally won last week's race at Red Bull Ring, but a post-race penalty was applied, which actually gave the race victory to Daywalker, who's sitting in P5 at the moment. So he's probably looking to put that behind him and just focus on having a clean race ahead of him here. And I think seeing the pit entry sign there will be a sight for sore eyes as he pulls into the pits there. We'll just jump back on with all the other cars as they come through. Morg should be doing the same here, hypothetically. So he pulls in. Ozpat probably the same as well. There is a difference in fuel wear there in terms of, 63, 69, 62% fuel. But it doesn't really matter on a race like this because they'll be able to go all the way to the end without refueling.
Yeah.
So, the Trickster is suited and booted and back out on the track. Morgs is getting his fresh medium compound tyres on now as well. Making sure to stay wide of that pit exit line to not get a penalty. Ozpat G is on his way out as well. Does a good job to avoid that as well. Red Bearsy for Shadow Team Racing.
So some of these cars that have used more fuel are going to have a bit more of an advantage because their cars are going to be a bit lighter on these use of the tyres as well.
Exactly right. Now I wonder if Loco RX2 will come into the pits. He's having a bit of a moment. Oh no, he spun! He tried to get into the pit entry and he just ran wide and he's stuck. Oh, he's blocking the pit entry. Looks like he's got a bit of room here. Luckily VFA Victory pit last lap, so he didn't have to navigate through that, but yeah, just had a bit of a moment there.
Oh, so painful.
It is very tricky.
Kicking himself right now. He got a little bit of damage, but that will heal by the time he gets out the pits, I'd say.
Yep, exactly. And then Specs follows through in Combat Meow as well, so they're all heading into the pits there to get a fresh set of medium compound tyres. So this is where the race gets interesting because everyone's on fresh compounds. Who will be pushing hard and who will be conserving?
So the Lamborghini did put on medium tyres as well.
Seems like the Trickster, Morgs and Ozpat G are just in their own little worlds here, whereas we've got a nice little battle pack forming for P4 between Red Bearsy, Daywalker and Dahon.
Yep.
Now I wonder if
she's looking pretty hungry for a position here, I think.
I wonder if Daywalker's heeded the warnings from the earlier parts of the race with the traction breaking loose and sliding out of control, and just wants to keep focused and get his car pointing in the right direction for the rest of this race. So we have a lovely shot here riding on board, or riding next to more appropriately, the Genesis of Daywalker.
At the back of the car, he just wants to go fast.
That's right. Back of the car as we swing around here. I want to go fast. You can do that, Daywalker, but you also got to keep it on the track. Well, he's actually closed down the gap, yeah, massively,
yes. Yep. I think he'd be looking at this Lexus, thinking, I've got this. If they do start battling, this will pull the Mac in the Porsche. Yep. So we'll have a three-way battle here. Hopefully they can keep it tidy and clean. And Red Bearsy, yeah, he's made it easy for everyone. Yeah, It's got to him.
It's exactly
very easy to do. Yeah, very easy to do, especially if you're looking up in the top left of the screen, just watching those split times as you're trying to concentrate on this track. Like I was saying earlier before the race started, this track's about memory, and when you start looking at other factors of the race, it's going to take away from your attention. As the Porsche looks to make a move on to Daywalker.
We're riding on board, just looking over the rear wing of Daywalker. That Porsche's looking really racy. Obviously everyone's got super high confidence levels now with high grip, but I think the smarter drivers will be the ones that will be conserving their tyres for the end of this race. And we can already see it, so that Genesis has just got so much more legs compared to the Porsche on the straights. But I feel like in this next upcoming section, the second half of the Nordschleife, the Porsche will be stronger than the Genesis in my opinion.
Yeah, a good move from the Porsche would be to try and just get behind this Genesis on these straights, get pulled along for a bit, and then take advantage of the bendy bits.
Now, while this has all been happening, we'll come back to Daywalker and Dahon as they race closely with one another. the Trickster has pulled out a mammoth gap to Morgs. So I'll be interested to see what his lap time is this lap, because if he keeps this pace up, he'll have no tyres left at the end of the race potentially. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out.
Well, as we were just looking at the front of the pack, at the rear of the pack, in the our Subaru, Combat Meow has had it off. He got copped himself some damage. He is on the racing hard tyre.
We just got confirmation from Morgs here that gap blew out between the Trickster and himself. Morgs did have a little bit of an off on this outlap from his stop, so hopefully Morgs can recollect himself and just keep chipping away at that delta, because he's got Ozpat G not too far behind him here. And Anthony, as we were saying, the Genesis is struggling through this twisty section, and the Porsche's pulled that gap right back to him.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if the Subaru was meant to put on medium tyres, made a mistake in putting on the hard tyres. It seems like an interesting choice, but the Porsche here is looking at the Genesis. He's making himself known in the revision mirror here.
Keeping that pressure on. We just had Daywalker chime in the chat saying, "Hey guys, this wasn't my favourite track," so potentially a bit of that. As Don flashes him to tell him to get out of the way. Daywalker saying
Daywalker does not have to do. Yep.
Not a strong track of his, and yes, that's right, he does not have to yield the position, he can hold on to that. Specs agreeing, saying it's not his strongest track as well. And we have some drivers like Wombu who thought wiser of it and decided to rescind his invite to the Nordschleife for this race. Seems like it was a smart play, because a lot of the guys are struggling here.
What Daywalker would be doing right now, if I was in his situation, our situation is defending through these parts of the track quite aggressively, and then trying to get a bit of advantage just before these straights, trying to bridge a bit of a gap to not help him along the straight so much. But definitely defend, because you have the advantage on the straight with this car.
Absolutely.
Over the Porsche, and in the corners where the Porsche has the advantage, you just have to make your Genesis as wide as you can.
So we're just riding on board with the Porsche actually. Even in the slipstream of the Genesis, the Porsche is only 1 to 2 kilometers per hour faster than the Genesis in a full slipstream. So it seems like even it's Daywalker.
Oh, there we go. Oh, he's done it.
Oh no.
Oh, they're both covered guts.
Dahan saw a little bit of a gap there and had every right to go through it, and I think Daywalker was just losing control and pinched him right into the wall there. Luckily their damage will repair, but Daywalker's lost 2 positions as a result of that, because Red Bearsy has swooped on through as well.
Yeah, Daywalker actually didn't pick up any damage out of that incident, which is very surprising. The Porsche, however, has made front right contact to the barrier and cops damage, and has now healed.
I think if I was Mac Hard or Dahan in this instance, I'd just go, okay, got damage, not ideal, let's just focus on the positives. I've got that position. Now I need to start focusing on cooling down my tyres and just trying to cement this position and capitalise on maybe some of the errors in front of me.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of people in front of him,
he just did purple that sector as well, sorry.
Oh wow, awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, this battle pack between Morgs and Ozpat G seems to be a lot closer. And speaking of purple sectors, as you were saying, being the second lap with the new set of tyres, this would be the ideal time for anyone to set their fastest lap for the race. So we will have to wait and see by the end of this lap who had the fastest lap.
Yeah, I think this is the time to set it.
I think if 6:33 was a pole time on soft tyres, they'd probably be looking at maybe a 6:38, 39 with full fuel and medium tyres.
Morgs is up half a second on his best time.
Might just catch up with some of the other drivers and then come back to Morgs and Ozpat here. So Dahan's actually a second up on the fastest lap, so it seems like they're all chipping away at that. Red Bearsy coming through, not up on the best lap time, but up on his own personal best. Sideshow actually has gotten by Daywalker as well, so Daywalker had another off. Because Sideshow was well behind him at that point.
I'm on board with Sideshow right now.
Now, Sideshow could capitalise on this, and if he just makes that Dodge Viper as wide as it already is, he can keep Daywalker behind him until his tyres start to fade, and then just keep him behind him for the rest of the race. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we progress through. Anthony, I'd love a tyre update on VFA Victory or Judge, because I know that he pit a bit early here, and it doesn't seem to have played out well for him, because he's not ahead of the pack, he's actually sitting more towards the rear end of it.
Yeah, so his tyres have worn, he's down on his tyre wear a third, so he's still got good tyre wear, but he's used a third over every other car, so, well, not over every other car, but that's where he's at, so.
Interesting. We'll have to see. He may come in this lap, put on a fresh set of soft tyres and just try and go for that fastest lap point, so we'll just have to see how that fares.
Yeah, the Lamborghini is the car situated behind him, with quite distance I might add, so Judge is, or VAF is quite comfortable, but that Lamborghini's on very fresh tyres and is looking quite rapid at the moment, so you should see if you can close that gap up.
I may divert your attention here to Daywalker in the Genesis, following closely behind Sideshow in the slipstream. Knowing how quick that Genesis is, even without a slipstream, should catch up to Sideshow potentially here. Yeah.
I'm not sure how that Viper goes on speed, but I'll just also just mention Specs has picked up the first penalty I've seen, half-second penalty, so that could be because of a track cut violation, I'd say.
I have to look back with that. Oh, it's Daywalker. Oh! He's had a huge moment. We just cut to him. We just cut to Daywalker, and he was skirting along the grass along the inside of Sideshow, and then smack bang into the wall, and Sideshow's really benefited from that because he's put a bit more time in between him, but he was lucky to not get collected as well. Poor Daywalker, just having a really rough time on this circuit.
Yeah, he's also collected damage for that also. Yeah, it's not an easy track. Like, I find myself in the same situation with this track as well. And if you start having a bad race, it really deteriorates very quickly as well. You're in your own head, as Daywalker also says.
Oh no, Daywalker. The boys and the girls back at the factory in Korea will not be happy looking at the work that they have to do on this car when it returns from Germany.
Yeah. I think it's safe to say he's now, his confidence is a bit down. He's trying to tell himself to try and keep it on the track.
Oh, someone's had a spin. Ozpat pirouetting on the grass here. Sorry to cut you off there. I just saw a triangle spinning on the mini map and cut to Ozpat G, who was doing 360 no scopes. He was close to Morgs there, but now that gap is really opened up.
I was just trying to find him. Who had the crash? Oh, Ozpat, was it?
Ozpat, yeah. And now look who's ready to snap up the position.
I just jumped on with Specs, and Specs was also crashed as well.
Oh, everyone's going for the no scopes. Oh, poor Ozpat's actually running wide there, so Dahon's just loving it here. The Porsche at the Nurburgring just seems to be like bread and butter. You just can't beat that combination, you know? Let's see if he can actually pull a bit of an advantage back to him in the slipstream of the BMW.
The tyres are a bit better on the BMW, only slightly though. So, and also BMW is carrying less fuel, so it has a bit of a weight advantage, but we'll see what happens. The Porsche's looking stronger.
Might just jump on board with the Trickster here as he comes through. He'll be setting his fastest lap of the race, ideally, so just have a quick look here. Doesn't improve, he sets a 644 technically, with 43.999. So that's probably the best optimal tyre life out of that Genesis for a fastest lap, so now it's just about bringing the car home.
Yeah.
Morgs doesn't look like he's able to capitalise on that. He does his own personal best of a 42.7. Ozpat with his no scopes probably won't be setting a fastest lap. Dahon could actually set the fastest lap here. Hang on a minute.
And he has.
He has. So he started that lap, reminded everyone, being slammed into the wall with damage, and he's just set the fastest lap of the race. Great job, Dahon. That's a solid effort. But can anyone else take that from him? Doesn't look like Bearsy will. He's in the 650s. Sideshow won't. Daywalker won't, with the couple of offs that he's had, he's actually pulled out an even bigger gap or like made a bigger gap between himself and Sideshow. And it doesn't look like VFA Victory, Loco RX2 or Specs, who still has that penalty to serve, be able to capitalise on that. But
Sideshow said his fastest personal lap of 6:45, so quite a bit off the pace, but still managing to keep his car in 6th place and doing quite well.
Do we think Dahon in 4th place, Mac Hart, can catch up to Ozpat G? This will be interesting to see.
Well, he can see him, so like looking at his perspective, you know, he's right there. So he's seeing the brake lights. He's seeing where that BMW is making his brake points and positioning his car. He can see that and improve on it. So following from this distance back, he's going to be getting some kind of some advantage, some inside information here on how that BMW is performing. It's like in his own head telling him what to do here. So he's close to go up quite quickly.
And he's just gone purple through the previous sector. I wonder if he'll be able to go purple through this upcoming sector here. He's still purple, just under half a tenth, so not a huge amount of time, but when you set the fastest lap already, that's a really encouraging sign. And I feel like that BMW is just getting bigger and bigger to him, which will be music to his ears.
Yeah. So Ozpat, the best thing he can do right now is keep his head down and just try and make that BMW wide. He shouldn't need to worry, it is a narrow track. He has been caught up, but he just has to just keep his head in the game a bit here. Ozpat has been promoted into this series, by the way, to everyone watching, from the lower league.
Yeah, absolutely right, and it's just, I guess, a little bit of a question of what could have been if Dahon had started the season right all the way back at round 1, because Dahon is sitting 16th in the championship on only 50 points after two races. This is his 3rd race tonight, so an average points haul of 25 points per race, which is good enough for around, I would say, maybe P6, P7, around that sort of spot. But he's proving that he's not shy to, rub shoulders with some of the fastest drivers in this category here.
Yeah.
Now will Dahon get the slipstream here and get alongside Ozpat G? We'll ride on board and look over the rear wing of Ozpat G. He's actually also set a fastest sector, so 1/10 up on the fastest lap. It just seems that Porsche really lacks that top end, hey?
Yeah.
Can't do anything.
Yeah, it really does. But it does look very stable going over those bumpy parts of the track.
I might leave these two gentlemen to it, I think. If we have a look back at Red Bearsy, Sideshow, they're keeping a nice distance between one another. Daywalker's in his own little world, sort of navigating through the Nordschleifer. VFA running his own little races too, probably has to consider a stop soon. Same with Loco RX2 in terms of won't need a stop, but we'll just need to get it to the end there, along with Specs and Combat Meow, just running along at the back there. So everyone's nicely spread out except for Ozpat and Dahon. And Dahon's really caught up on that twisty section here. Let's see if Ozpat crumbles under the pressure. He's right on him here.
Yeah, he's right on him. It's like, oh no! Goodness. What did you say that for?
Well, you said it too.
Justice, I did.
Oh, when you're
I tried to divert it to you.
When you're pushing to the extremes, things like that do happen. Sigh of relief for Ozpat G and a sigh of defeat for Dahon, but solid effort there to put it to him. But now it's just time to recollect your thoughts and just try again and build up that gap.
So he did pick up right front damage, which has quickly healed itself. He is still trying to regather that car though. He's a bit slidey on
dirty
those tyres.
Yeah. All right.
Very unfortunate. We thought we were going to see a battle here. back at the front, Maxi J's just really walking away at the moment, looking very confident. Oh goodness me, he ran wide there.
Oh, mate.
I thought I'd done him in then, but he's all
You're gonna have
right.
to
He's
put the
carried
gag
on.
order on you soon.
He's carried on. He's carried
But
on.
fortunately, the Trickster has such a massive gap, so he'll be able to, you know, make a small mistake and regather the car and not lose a position as a result as he comes down the Dottinger straight there. Now Morgs is hanging on in P2, but Ozpat is catching him. I feel like with Dahon not right on his rear bumper anymore, he should be able to, you know, focus on just catching up to Morgs here. So I'll be interested to see how that ends up between the two of them.
So you can see him up in the horizon from his perspective. So maybe he will get a bit hungry and try and push for it. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. And also Mac Hart, he can also still see the cars up in front as well. So
they can see each other
pushing very
there.
hard for this last lap.
You come into the Bilstein Bridge.
So he has a bit of time. So the laps are long. They do have time to make it up. You know, so anything can happen still at this point.
Completely right. Now, I'll be interested to see if Ozpat sets the fastest lap here, because he was looking good earlier in terms of being purple, but I think he might just miss out there. Very close though. Yeah, just over a second or so from Dahon's time, but most people's tyres will be well expired by now, so that fastest lap should, in theory, be safely preserved by Dahon or Mac Hart. Sideshow doing an exceptional job to keep the Dodge Viper, or the Dodgy Viper as he affectionately refers to it, in P5.
Which, mind you, he keeps coming back to it. So he's a what do you call it?
A glutton for punishment. Yep, that's the one. Red Bearsy coming across the line in the Lexus, and Daywalker just wanting this all to be over, I can only imagine. So one lap to go. Very respectable P7 as well, but still one more lap to go. A lot can happen. Now does VFA come into the pits here? No, he stays out. So Anthony, I'd love a tyre update on him, because I feel like he pit early onto mediums and he must be really struggling by now.
In the AMG?
That's right, yeah, Judge P8.
Judge, yeah, okay. So, yeah, his tyres, look, I mean, Daywalker's not tyres. Oh my gosh.
Oh, Lord,
yeah.
My heart skipped a bit, yeah.
His tyres aren't too bad in comparison to for Daywalker, for example. Same tyre, extra lap on them, and they're not much better. Not much worse off, rather.
That's really interesting.
Than the Genesis. So his tyres are looking really good.
So took the softs at the start, got the mediums on a bit early, but playing a really strong tyre conservation game here, it seems.
Yeah.
So
he's done a great job on those tyres. His lap times are down over everybody else, so he might not be pushing on them as hard as everybody else, but he's definitely made them last, which is fair play to him.
Yeah, that's sort of the compromise you make, right? If you want to go on them early, you have to be a bit slower and make sure that you don't burn them up too quickly. So
Loco RX2's put the Lamborghini into the wall twice. He's got some damage at the front left.
Just caught the rear end of that one there.
Yeah, and it looks like the Mercedes specs is also working on that gap there as well.
Front's a little bit wide there, tyres struggling a little bit. The Combat Meow hanging on at the back here, coming over the line shortly to complete the penultimate lap, and probably be happy to see the lap counter to tick to the final lap after this turn here.
Yeah, I think some of these guys would need to be paying attention to their tyres at this point. So I'm not sure what Specs is doing at the moment in regards to his brake balance. He should be moving his brake balance towards the rear at this stage. If
to conserve those front tyres, yeah.
Yeah, unless he might already have it all the way to the rear, and that's just how it's turning out. But for those drivers in these series, you notice that the tyres are wearing unbalanced. The trick is to move that brake balance around a bit, so just share the load of the tyres.
Yeah, exactly right. So the Trickster, Maxi J, a commanding lead, a dominant lead in P1 here, coming up to the carousel for the final time. Still only just about halfway or just over halfway through the lap, so still a little bit to go. Morgs is hanging on to P2, but Ozpatchy can sight him in his windshield there, so Morgs will just need to focus on keeping cool, calm and collected and focus on just running his own race. But Ozpat is not making it easy for him in P3.
So Specs is saying that he was using 3 to the rear for his brake balance. I've used that same car, mate. I have it all the way at the rear in a lot of the cases so far in my experience. Well, limited experience with that car. I don't have too much experience with this car, but this season I've been using 5.
I feel like if you're on a 3, you can put it to a 5. Like the difference would be negligible in terms of like how the car would feel, but you'd still get that extra bit of performance out of the tyre life.
Yeah, you just got to be mindful when you break into the heavy braking zones that the rear of the car's not passing the front, because sometimes you'll lock up the rear a little bit more and you'll start trying to pass itself.
Morgs had 5 to the rear to the whole race as well. So we're right on board here with Ozpatchy, who's sighting him up here. I wonder if he'll be able to catch up to him before the race is done.
Go to the leader. He has put it off into the grass. His tyres are really punished, so they're only going to get worse.
Luckily he's got such a big gap that he's able to make that mistake but still hold on to the lead.
His car's light. Also, his fuel's way down over the chasing cars. Almost a quarter of a tank, less fuel.
Yeah.
So big difference in fuels. His car's light, but his tyres at the front are just copying it. So I'd be interested to hear what he's using for brake balance as well.
Morgs still holding on to P2 there. Ozpatchy needs to really be probably at least a second closer to him here if you wanted to catch him down the long straight.
Yeah.
But I think Morgs has got enough breathing room there to get it done. But speaking of breathing room, the Trickster or Maxi J, he's got nothing but breathing room here, even with a few offs here and there.
Is that Nissan is looking really good on stats. Like the fuel, it is heavier at the moment than the BMW. The BMW's used a considerable amount more fuel, but no one's taken fuel on, and the tyre wear's about the same between those two cars, but the fuel usage
is completely different. Yeah,
crazy.
As the Trickster comes across the line here to take outright victory here at the Nordschleife. Well done there, mate. Held on all the way to the end. Morgs
well done.
hanging on there to claim P2 as he comes around the final corner, keeps Ozpatchy in his rearview mirror. So well done Morgs and well done Ozpatchy for rounding out the podium here. But a huge shout out to Dahon as he bins it in the wall there. Luckily he's got a lot of just about to commend him on such an exceptional drive as he puts it into barrier as he comes across in P4. That's a great result though. Well done, mate. Irrespective of the offs here and there. Good job. Our favourite sideshow in the Dodge Viper, pulling it all across the line to P5 with scratched front bumper, damaged headlights, everything, but it doesn't matter. He's in P5. He's there. We've got a close battle here actually between Daywalker and Red Bearsy heading into the final corners for P6. Let's keep an eye on this. I think Red Bearsy's got track position here to make sure that he gets it done. Oh, yeah. Very nicely done.
Very good.
Good recovery from Daywalker to finish roughly about mid-pack there, so good job Bearsy, Daywalker there. And then we have VFA Victory, or Judge as his nickname is, in game and showing up here at the moment, coming across the final corner, getting a bit squirrely.
Everyone's putting a bit of a show on for the
exactly,
end, getting excited to make it over and done with, I think.
Yep. Speaking of getting things over and done with, Loco RX2 and the Lamborghini. Got enough room here between himself and Specs in P10. Just wants to focus on getting it over the line here. So a few
DTL was saying he was using balance 3 as well. Mate, go 5. That Genesis
Yeah,
5 3 mate.
you've driven that in the past, haven't you?
Yeah, it's a all day every day 5 to 3.
Which works out well for your front tyres in every single race.
Yeah,
Loco
very
RX2
comfortable.
coming across P9, well done, mate. Specs had a bit of a challenging race, wasn't his favourite circuit, but brings it home. Not in last position there, so solid result there with the damage, that battle scarred AMG there. And then last driver we have here is actually Combat Meow in the Subaru. Just hoping to get this one done. So just do a quick recap of the finishing order as the drivers do their 21 kilometre parade lap. So we have Maxi J, the Trickster, P1, Morgs P2 with Ozpat G followed closely behind in P3. Then we have Dahon in P4, Mac Hart as his nickname says. Sideshow in the Dodgy Viper in P5. Red Bearsy in P6 followed closely behind by Daywalker. And then VFA Victory in 8th, Loco RX2 in 9th, and Specs in 10th. So a big congratulations to all our development series drivers in the AM division for tackling the Nurburgring Nordschleife in round 6 of the development series. So heading into round 7 this week at... Oh, the track escapes me at the moment. What track do we have this week, Anthony? Do you recall?
I don't. I can definitely have a quick look.
It's on the tip of my tongue. Lago Maggiore reverse, I believe. So heading into round 7 at Lago Maggiore in Italy, and then after that we move on to St. Croix C, which will be a very challenging circuit for even the best of our drivers from the Pro Division down. And then the final round, not the penultimate round, the final round will be at the iconic Spa-Francorchamps for a 90-minute enduro where double points will be on offer. So even if you had a not ideal race this time around, you could definitely claw it back at the final race round by picking up double points. So
yes,
it would be interesting to see how that fares. But I think we'll call that a wrap for tonight. Thank you everyone for joining in. Make sure you leave a like if you haven't done so already, or subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified when our next live stream comes up in about a fortnight's time. We will be featuring the iconic Civic touring cars at Blue Moon Bay Speedway, the oval layout, which will be a fun slipstream battle race to watch, so keep an eye out for that one there. But thank you, Anthony, as well, for joining me in the comments box.
Thanks, Stu. Great job, as always.
Likewise, sir. Likewise. And if anyone's interested in joining Apex Point Racing League, feel free to check out our Facebook page or Discord channel. That's where you'll find all the information and can get involved with racing here on Gran Turismo 7 or on ACC Crossplay. Special thanks to everyone that joined in the chat and our community. We appreciate you all very much. And also just wanted to make a quick shout out to our partner for Apex Point Racing League, Image Digital, who's been supporting the community pretty much since its inception, to be pretty honest, but it's only been official for the past season or so. So we thank the Image Digital team down in Melbourne for supporting Apex Point Racing League with their shirts and t-shirts designs. If you need something whipped up for a special event or for an own custom design, they can pretty much do everything for you. So check them out at imagedigital.com.au or on their Facebook pages. But without further ado, we just say good night. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
See you guys. Appreciate you.